Welcome back. President Trump says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz could come as early as today. He tells Tehran it has one last chance to reach a deal, while Iran has reportedly denied direct negotiations with Washington. The Iranian propaganda media have been saying that all week. Tehran and Oman are said to be in talks on a framework to reopen the vital shipping route, however, with questions over security arrangements and whether Tehran could still collect fees from ships passing through its side of the strait. President Trump spoke on the negotiations and where things stand today yesterday. Watch.
Could happen tomorrow or the next day. Tomorrow, a lot of progress has been made. And they called me and they said, please, let's talk. They want to talk. But the funny thing is they never mention that. They always say, we're not talking. But they called. They want to talk. We've been talking. They want to make a deal. They do not want to be hit. It was the biggest hit since World War II, as I said. They did not, and they saw it happening. They saw all the goods being loaded. They saw everything. They knew exactly what was happening. And I think they'd be very smart to make a deal. We'll see what happens. They had a very good day. The negotiations were good.
Joining me now is the Heritage Foundation Vice President of National Security. She is former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump in his first term. Victoria Coates back with us. Victoria, good to see you. How would you assess where we are right now? Hard to know with Iranian propaganda constantly trying to contradict what President Trump tells us.
No, good morning, Maria. I think we need to watch what the Iranians are going to do, not what they say, because they are a propaganda machine. They're trying to communicate strength to their own people because they know ultimately they're in a position of weakness. So my understanding is that this is a pretty straightforward deal, a 60-day bridge. Ships would pass into the Gulf on the Iranian side, out of the Gulf on the Omani side to the west, and that they would spend those 60 days getting rid of any mines that may be lingering in the central passageway, and that then at the end of that 60 days, you could either extend it or get to a bigger deal to open up the strait overall.
Yeah, overall, though, we're looking at a move lower in oil prices. The markets have certainly taken direction from President Trump, and yet the U.S. has reportedly used up a significant portion of its long-range precision missile stockpile during these 5 months of the Iran conflict. The story is sparking a broader debate over weapons production, the defense industrial base, and whether the U.S. can maintain the military edge while facing multiple global threats. Victoria, we've been talking about this for some time, as the president has put the defense of this country as his #1 priority, encouraging the defense companies to mass produce. Your thoughts on where we are in that regard?
No, this is critical, Maria, and bear in mind, I mean, this is what President Trump inherited after 4 years of Joe Biden, giving as much as it takes for as long as it takes to Ukraine, but at the same time shrinking our defense budgets overall when you account for inflation, not making the kind of historic investments we needed. We knew at that point under President Biden that we had Russia on the march. We knew we had China engaging in a historic military buildup, and we were asleep at the wheel. And so, we've given away so much of our stockpiles. It's not surprising that things are getting low, after 6 months of war. But this is why the president's $1.5 trillion budget request for the Department of War is so critically important. We have to get that through Congress. We have to invest that money wisely in the sorts of things we're going to need if we, God forbid, have a second front open up in the Indo-Pacific.
Yeah, and we spoke about this with Brian Mast, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House, and also a combat veteran. He joined me Sunday. Watch this. What do you want to say in terms of the money needed to replenish our stockpiles right now after this war?
Every minute that goes by where the Senate doesn't move this to the president's desk, it affects our readiness. It affects our ability to go out there and manufacture and produce the weapon systems that we need or need to replenish or replace parts on our ships, on our aircrafts, on anything else. Every moment that they delay, it's hurting the readiness of our service members, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force, you name it. If they want to take care of our troops, they have to take care of the NDAA immediately.
Your thoughts on what happens there? I mean, look, there's a debate within the Senate. Look at where we are. We've got 2 days left, legislative days left in the Senate, and we're not even sure if the NDAA is going to get across the finish line, Victoria.
No, it's ridiculous. Congress has to do its job. The House has, the Senate needs to act. And bear in mind, this is just the authorization phase, Maria. We haven't even gotten into the appropriations process yet. So there's still more work to be done. The Senate, I mean, I really agree. Senator Thune should keep the Senate in place. They should stay for the August recess. They should pass the SAVE Act so we can have free and fair elections. And they should get their work done on the Defense Authorization Act. This is just embarrassing.
Yeah.
And, you can forgive the Iranians for thinking we're not serious about this.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Russia seems to be stepping up its aerial assault on Ukraine, a massive overnight missile and drone barrage killing at least 17 people, putting Ukraine's air defense under great pressure. The escalation coming as Ukraine accused Russia of war crimes after video appears to show a Russian drone following and striking a vegetable seller in Kherson. Kyiv says the attack is part of a broader pattern of Russian strikes against civilians. Ukraine is expanding its own drone operations, has been for some time, using advanced systems to hit targets inside of Russia and disrupt military and logistics infrastructure. Victoria, what's your take here? I don't think anybody was expecting Ukraine to come back as strongly as it has in terms of pushing back against Russia.
No, I mean, I think these sort of episodes tell you all you need to know. The Russians are going after vegetable sellers. The Ukrainians are going after critical Russian energy infrastructure. And this is really going to hit Putin where it hurts, which is in the wallet. If you start constraining Russia's ability to process and sell oil products, that's where he's really going to get some grief from his oligarchs. They're not going to push back against him unless what he's doing is bad for business. So I think Ukraine should keep on as they're going on. They're suffering from a lack of these long-range interceptors as well, although they do have the attack drones that can do a lot of that work. But they need to start possibly producing some of these things on their own, which could help alleviate our shortage. But yes, it's definitely very heartening to see the kind of progress Ukraine is making.